Hello and welcome to this astrological update with the lovely Amy Bird and Liz Nagle. If you want to know more about these lovely ladies, check out the other videos that we have done, which are on my channel and Amy's channel. Details will be in the description. But this is long overdue, and we just love having a chat. We have the astrologer, the mystic, and the tarot card reader. So we're going to see what comes out of this. But I'm going to get Amy to start because she has all the astrological knowledge that we all know and love. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a very exciting moment at the moment, actually. The a very special time, I believe, and the energy that I'm about to talk about has already begun. So it's not like it's going to happen at the end of the month. It's already building now. So that's something to bear in mind. We have an alignment between Venus and Neptune and the north node of the moon all occurring in Pisces, and that's going to be at the beginning of February. But just before I talk about that, we've recently had the shift from Aries and Libra. The nodes of the moon have gone from Aries and Libra into Virgo and Pisces. So the south node of the moon is in Virgo, which is where we're kind of like traits that we need to maybe leave behind a little bit, or the more challenging aspects of Virgo, rather, and move towards the Pisces north node. And this is both collectively and personally. And it's going to be an 18 months process. And it is the healing axis, the Virgo Pisces axis. So I think ideally, when it comes to the nodes of the moon, we want to find a balance between the two signs. It's not about leaving Virgo behind, because obviously Virgo's got some really wonderful traits that we can all emulate, including humility and purity, and so there's a lot going for Virgo and being of service. But what we're being called to leave behind in order to move towards the North Node in Pisces is maybe that any tendencies to be really hard on ourselves, to be over perfectionistic, to worry, towards anxiety, towards being self-critical or being too critical of others, and this kind of need for everything to be in order somehow. And the Pisces North Node is calling for us all to just surrender to flow, which is so exciting. It just feels like so beautiful that that's what we're all being called to do, just to trust, and to trust in the unseen, and also to find compassion and acceptance for ourselves and others. And that's where the balance between the Virgo and the Pisces, we can all be so hard on ourselves. We are trying to be these, like, we can try and like make ourselves and others be this perfect thing, and we're all flawed, we're all human. And Pisces reminds us that basically just find a little bit more acceptance and forgiveness, and allow everybody to just be and be in the present moment, and allow the flow of life to unfold, and just kind of surrender really is the gift of Pisces, which is really, really beautiful. So it's kind of, I suppose, calling for us to connect to spirit. But that's where Neptune is joining forces, and also Venus, the planet of love. I mean, Venus is the planet of love, relationships, our values, our self-worth, and what gives us pleasure. And then Neptune is the planet of unity, of oneness, of higher love, of it brings inspiration and connection. It dissolves anything that's preventing us from connecting to the divine, including our ego. So, and it also as well is calling for trust and flow. And so if you've got the ruler of Pisces sitting on top of the Pisces North Node, then a North Node represents our collective and personal soul growth, which can involve stepping outside of the comfort zone. Then this time that we are already in, because Neptune's been moving towards the North Node and Neptune have been kind of moving towards each other for a little while now, there's a real softening potential. There's a kind of maybe letting go of past grievances and going, what's the point? And connecting to our spiritual practices, whatever they may be, whether it be yoga or Tai Chi or any healing modalities or obviously meditation, because I think we have a greater potential for connecting to the divine at this time. We could have some quite deep mystical experiences, and it's not often at all that you will see this alignment happening. I should have checked to see the last time it happened, but it was a long time ago, because basically the last time the nodes were in Virgo and Pisces, yeah, I guess Neptune was in Pisces at that point, but it would have been the other way around. But it has been quite a while. It's a very rare thing that we're having here. So it's calling for us to kind of tap into our compassion and our empathy, both for ourselves and for others. So it just feels really quite, yeah, quite profound. And then on top of that, on the 1st of February, or leading up to the 1st of February, we have Venus and Neptune combining, obviously, on top of the North Node, and then Venus on top of the North Node as well. So this brings heart to heart connection, like higher vibration kind of love. If Venus is the planet of love and Neptune is the planet of higher love and universal love, you put the two together, and you know it could kind of really potentially dissolve some stuff that maybe we've been carrying around. It could help us forgive each other more. It could help us to really truly see each other and drop the walls a little bit more. It's really good for artistic inspiration. All of it is basically, and it's really good for kind of letting go of material attachment and focusing on more spiritual values. It's good for being more sensitive. Obviously, Pisces is the planet of, you know, is the sign of when it's got Venus in it, is very romantic and very idealistic, which of course can lead to dream love, you know, or seeing people with the rose tinted spectacles. But personally, I think it's quite good to see people with rose tinted spectacles. So yeah, so I think that that combination, there's the real potential for unity and oneness to come about here, and our soul growth. Like there's a sense of connecting, maybe like some quite fated karmic relationships coming in, or maybe a deepening of the relationships that we already have, a kind of evolving going on. Because whenever the nodes of the moon are involved, there's a sense of destiny and fate as well. So this feels like a very important moment for our relationships. And of course, not only our relationships to others, but our relationships to self. So yeah, it is really beautiful, and I'd say that it's a really good time to get on the meditation mat between now and then. And what I'm feeling and sensing is, and this is like I'm handing it over to you guys here, but what I'm really sensing is a softening, a softening and a feeling of um recognizing where ego is playing out and letting go of that ego. And ego can involve fear, can't it? And you know, and so to just embrace uh the higher vibration of love, and to see each other as the beautiful luminous beings that we are. We are basically beings of light, aren't we? And I think that this can help us all to connect to that, and to really trust and have faith that we're being guided in the right direction and that we're held. So yeah, it feels really beautiful.
It does, definitely. Liz, do you have anything you want to say about any of that?
Just I'm resonating with every word. You know, it's I don't really have anything to add to it. It's all it's everything. You're just saying everything that I am feeling, and um like I was awake pretty much all night last night, but not tossing and turning or anything. It was like I was I was just there floating between the here and the there, even though there isn't there isn't either of those. There's just, I was just floating, and but not quite in the void, not quite totally in the void. So when you were talking about softening, and Richard Rudd talks about soften the heart and open the mind, um, and he says that awakening is a series of softenings. And to me, it's all about dissolution of the ego. Pisces is about dissolution in the water, and going with the flow and allowing. While I was lying there last night, it was just my body was dissolving, and you said, as we are light, so it's this mix metaphors between light and water. The drop in the ocean and the ocean in the drop, and then the light, and how everything is, to me, this reality, this life is a projection of shadow and color, but it's just light. There's nothing tangible really about it. It's changing constantly. And so it's just light, or moving around on a screen. And so the dissolution of the idea that it's a set picture, it's like the difference between a sculpture and a hologram of a sculpture. It's the difference between granite and light. They're both the same thing. And it's dissolving this idea that things are set in stone. Another metaphor: stone, water, and light. Anyway, thank you.
Wow. Yeah, and what I love about this is that, as Liz said, every word resonated. And look at that beautiful journey that I would say Liz has just taken us on. I was mesmerized as you were talking there, Liz, and feeling, I feel really emotional, and feeling the truth in every word that Amy said, and now every word that Liz has said. And there's a deepness and there's a unity. Oh my God, I'm really emotional. um, and it's funny because I was talking to a friend this morning about this level of love and how I'm just feeling so much love, and I don't even know what I'm loving. I'm just feeling the energy of love, but I can't pinpoint anything specific. It's just that, I don't know, the all that is, I guess. But just for a moment, I'm quite happy to bring it into like the physical realm a little bit here. I'm gonna, because every word resonated with me as well on a very personal level, and I don't have a problem with talking about that. And it might help, some people just to see how it can be, in our everyday life. I think sometimes we want to see how these energies affect our everyday life. But so many of the words you said, because as you know, my sun sign is Virgo anyway, so I can be quite anal about things. And I have noticed a softening of my OCD tendencies. I often walk away when I know that I would have moved something or I would have done something, and I tell myself, no, it's okay, Deb, you can walk away from that. So that's kind of interesting in itself. And I'm really noticing this. I mean, this week something came up for me personally, and I reached out to Liz for a healing. And straight away she came back with, because that's Virgo, right? Health and wanting to heal stuff, and then being a little bit anal about having to heal things. And straight away she came back with, this is not about healing anything, Deb. This is about total surrender and acceptance and all of that, which completely resonated. And I feel heaps better now. Thank you, Liz. So that also resonated, this whole idea of, and I think it's like going like from the individual into the unity. I'm feeling the unity because, as you know, as we know, Virgo is also service to others. And yet, what I'm finding, I love what you said about let's keep the good in Virgo, and let's just soften it and raise it almost to the next octave. That's how I'm looking at it, because I've talked about this before, that with the garden retreats, that I'm still out of habit or out of ego or out of whatever, out of my individual Virgoism. I don't know, but I'm still kind of putting out the occasional workshop of my own, right? And the energy just isn't there. The energy just isn't there. And I keep doing it and I keep knowing the energy is not there. But the energy for hosting other people's events is just coming in. And it's almost like, well, but I want to be of service, and it's just like, Deb, you are. But you're doing it from a place of unity. And I'm really, really feeling that there's this unity going on. So it's taking that beautiful service and bringing it into a more unity orientated. Liz wants to speak.
Well, God, you're
There
gonna
is only
get
me. I know
but
what
there
she's gonna
is
say.
only me.
There is only me.
Yes, and but that is the unity thing. That's really that was another, the penny dropped another few layers for me last night. Another few shelves or whatever. It's there really is only me. I have to keep telling myself this over and over. And that's the unity. That's the unity. It's not, unity isn't out there. It is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any idea that I have that there's a separate Deborah or a separate Amy is completely wrong. That's not to take away from your individual wonderfulness and contributions. In fact, it doesn't. It, for me, it adds to the contributions you have for me, because you're the bit of me that's getting that giving me that message that I individually, the individual Liz hasn't got access to, except through the bit of me that is you. It's very hard to put words on these things, but it's like that was just getting clearer. The veils were just coming away through the night. It was just getting clearer and clearer and clearer how close we all are. There is no space between us. There is no distance between us. We are one. We're not as one. We are one. There is only one. There is only I. There is only me.
And that is definitely what
Neptune. That's
Pisces
Neptune.
can show us.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's why I loved
the
what you
planet
said.
of oneness. It does remind us of the it's all about the collective in all of us, all one, all one. I was just thinking when you were talking, Deborah, that also the other side of this Pisces-ness and the Neptune-ness is more sensitivity. If we're going to be feeling more compassion and empathy, we're also going to be feeling more sensitive and maybe more thin-skinned, so there is that aspect to it as well. That it's not all a walk in the park, but you have, and maybe there's some overwhelm as well that people might feel. There are other Pisces and Neptunian characteristics that can come out through this, but I think
maybe we should talk a little bit about that then, just for anyone going through the process.
Yeah.
Any other parts of me going through the process, because when you feel. Yeah, because if it is a little bit going to be like this, yeah.
like when you're more open, you're more sensitive, and things can get in, and you maybe not have as greater boundaries between self and other, which obviously is what Pisces is all about. It's dissolving the boundaries between, or any perceived boundaries between us and us and spirit. So it's basically just calling for us all to kind of, you know, surrender and let go, and allow and be open. But within that, there can be sensitivity and greater, more emotional, and being overwhelmed by emotions as well. So,
I
and confusion, I suppose, and maybe wanting to escape could be part of it. And that wanting to escape reality, because reality is a bit too hard to bear. And there's many different ways we can do that. There's obviously drugs and alcohol, but there's even kind of, I suppose, being on your meditation mat for 13 hours could be seen as a as a escapism. So
Well,
there's all
definitely, yeah.
book or Netflix, or
And
so
we've been
I
getting, I think Liz and I have both been getting the message, well, I definitely have, about sometimes we're more comfortable, just like you say, just avoiding going, you know, but it is about bringing whatever we've tapped into, whether that's wisdom or love or light or however you want to word it, but whatever we've been tapping into, um, we're being asked to bring that back down. And I think of it with the chakras, so you kind of work your way. I feel like you start working your way up. It's like the Kundalini rising, isn't it? You've got your existence, and then you've got your creative, and then you've got your power, then you've got your love, your self-expression, your insights, and then your connection, right? And then once you've got that connection, whatever words you want to put on it, it's about bringing whatever you've gained from that connection, back into bringing those insights, expressing them through love. That's your power, creatively into physical existence. And I just feel that's where we're at, is we do need to get off the meditation mat once we've had our fill. And I think some escapism, especially with the spiritual community, for want of a better word, is astral traveling and just sitting in that space, I mean, that floaty space. I mean, it's fine if it's happening at night because you're not expected to do anything else, of course. That's all part of it. But finding that balance, because I think it's all part of the Great Awakening. And I think it is because we are all one, and it is about bringing that uniqueness, as Liz said before, that uniqueness into the unity, so that the unity can expand in consciousness. And that's what it's all about.
yeah.
I also I also think it's about maturing. And I think that with all this sensitivity and emotional stuff, we are at risk of reverting back to victimhood or child or immaturity and victimhood. And we're, and then we reach out for daddy, 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 help me, or whatever, mommy, mommy, it's we turn into these emotional children again, and want somebody else to take it away and fix it. And I think we are being called. I mean, it's North Node. It's North Node in Pisces. It's not about being a child. It's about being a mature, creative being, and taking radical responsibility for our emotions and feeling them and not running away from them. And sometimes you have to sit in a mat for hours and hours and hours to actually come to terms with that and grow up through that. So it's not about not sitting on your mat, and it's not about doing it. It's about what's required, and you're the only one who can decide what's required when, And so, yeah, I do think we are being called to mature and be more mature. And so while it's emotional, um, not to revert to the child and wanting to fix it and wanting it to go away or somebody to take it away. Just be with it, parent ourselves.
Well, that's where Saturn in Pisces comes in at the moment,
Ah,
because Saturn is maturity and it is the capacity to parent self, interestingly, and it is in Pisces as well. So I think that's definitely part of the story at the moment, which is helpful. Yeah.
it's good to know that it's there in the
Yeah,
skies as well. Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah. I was listening to you going, oh, that's Saturn. He's
So, Amy,
helpful.
is there anything else for us that we need to know astrologically at the moment?
Yep, absolutely. I just want to say one more thing, just in terms of dates, just to clarify, the Venus-Neptune conjunction is exact on the 1st of February, and the Neptune-North Node conjunction is exact on the 7th of February. But it's all building now. It's but I hadn't mentioned the 7th of February, so I wanted to make sure of that. We also have around that same time on the 29th of January, we have the Aquarius new moon, which has Pluto and Mercury sitting right next to it as well in Aquarius. And the beginning of the year of the snake, the wood snake, which is very exciting. I'll start with the snake because it feels connected to what we've just been talking about, because the snake is a deeply mystical, wise, healing, introspective, intuitive creature. So I think this could be a year where there's quite a lot of emotional depth and healing and turning inward and inner transformation. Because if you think about it, the snake sheds its skin, doesn't it? It sheds the old skin, and we have Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto is the planet of transformation, and Aquarius it helps us to let go of our conditioning and our programming. So it's interesting that it's all combined. We have Pluto, the planet of transformation, and the snake, which is the sign of the Chinese sign of transformation, or and someone was talking about how this ties in with the Neptune and Pisces business, that when the snake sheds its skin, it comes out kind of blind, milky eyed. So it's like we're coming out of our skin, but we don't quite know what's coming next. We're kind of blind and all shiny and new and exposed in some ways. So, but another thing about snakes is they're quite deeply they're strategically cautious, let's say. So they move quite deliberately and they avoid unnecessary risks. So it's a good year for kind of taking small, deliberate steps towards growth. And then the wood, the wood element is it correlates to spring, and it's like vitality and strength and perseverance and flexibility and I think I said growth already, and new beginnings and vision. So I feel like this is kind of a year of transformative growth through steady, intentional action. It's not impulsive. It's a year of emotional depth, healing, and turning inward. It's inner transformation. It's calling for us to explore the unconscious, and to face shadow material. I don't think the snake's afraid of a bit of shadow, and really develop our emotional intelligence. So it feels quite akin. I think it's quite poignant that we have this alignment happening just at the same time as we are beginning the year of the snake. And then at the same time, it is the Aquarius new moon. And Aquarius is the sign of kind of, rebellion, but also community. And it's not about us, it's about the collective. It's about the group. It's how can I align my vision with a vision for a better world. And I've got this feeling that maybe on the new moon, it might be good for people to, for all of us to maybe set our intentions, which is a really good thing to do at a new moon, because you're shedding, again, speaking of the snake, shedding what you want to let go of and moving towards what you would like or intend. But I often find that new moons, often the conversations that you naturally have around that time often kind of are more your intention than trying to kind of write down your intentions. But I just got this feeling that because Aquarius is so much about humanity and not really about just like your own selfish needs, then it would be good to kind of really set intentions for humanity and for all, the whole world, not just any selfish ones. So yeah. And what we also have is Pluto, and this is quite an important one. On the morning of the new moon, Pluto and Mercury are joining forces. And Pluto is the planet of transformation and power and soul. And Mercury is the planet of communication. So when you put them together, it's interesting that it's happening on the new moon, because it's quite intense and probing, and Pluto calls for us to really like dig deep and be emotionally honest with ourselves and others, and potentially face some quite uncomfortable material, and maybe go into I always think of Pluto, if you're willing to go and look under the surface and go into the shadows a little bit, you can come up with some buried treasure. And I always like that analogy. So there could be some quite big revelations and clarity and psychological insight, and it is quite deep introspection. So I think you combine that with the new moon, and we could have some interesting conversations during that time. Speaking of, for a new moon, if intentions come from conversation, and then you're having these quite intense conversations, then yeah, it could be quite an insightful moon. And the other thing about Aquarius is it's quite innovative and progressive. And with Pluto there at the moment, there is this sense of kind of we're being called to kind of shed old skin and old systems and old beliefs, and anything that's kind of stopping us being our true authentic self, and being true to that unique spark that came out of the womb, rather than all the stuff that's been piled on top of us over the course of our lifetime. So I think Pluto in Aquarius being such a big part of this moon, and being a part of the snake, the beginning of the year of the snake, it all feels very relevant. And it's calling for us to kind of, for societal shifts to occur, for real progression, for a sense of community, for us, it's being more about like the people rather than the hierarchy. And I kind of feel the sense of the grassroots kind of stuff coming up, and people joining together and as a whole, rather than for individual benefit, and kind of this sense of really breaking down outdated structures and making way for a new world to come in, and I don't know, I feel like the whole, all that is happening right now with the and the fact that we've got Venus and Neptune and the North Node at the same time as this moon, and Pluto so heavily involved, the planet of evolution and soul growth and transformation. Well, it feels like a big time. It feels like a big new moon,
It does, doesn't it? And perhaps with what you've said, maybe a good intention to set would be one to just surrender,
Yeah.
and to surrender and just let the divine, or trust the divine, because you did mention this sense of destiny as well. And so if you understand that your soul came in already having chosen its path, and it's the best path for you, and it's the path that's going to bring you the greatest joy, love, health, happiness, and abundance, then surrendering is the best thing to do, isn't it? And also, because of this beautiful weaving of the tapestry, you know that if you surrender, you know, the greater things are going to come than if you set an intention from your limited human mind. And with the way that the everything is at the moment, that intention will then be for the highest good of all, which is what it's all about. So yeah, that kind of made sense. So an intention to not set an intention, or an intention to surrender. I like that. That's very Pisces. Yeah.
I agree totally. I found that it's generally what occurs naturally around the new moon that sows the seeds, rather than being too, I don't know, thinking about overthinking it anyway, you know.
Well,
And
that's a
I
little bit Virgo, being a bit anal about it.
yeah, trying to control that, isn't that like the thing, trying to control an outcome versus just
Allowing. Oh, we love the word
allowing.
allow, don't we?
Yep. So yeah, powerful times, I think. Powerful
Um,
times.
I
But
yeah, I think we when we surrender ego, when like we I, there is only me, Liz, doesn't control anything, has no control. And so it's the consciousness that operates through me that has the choices, or that has the control, that sets the scene. I may have a choice between doing it one way or another. No right, no wrong. One might be more challenging and one a little bit more comfortable, but you know, that's the limits of my free will, is a choice maybe to turn right or left. But I the idea that I am creating, that Liz is has any influence really over anything, is laughable. It's like a wave thinking it can turn the ocean. You know, it cannot. And but the good side of that is that the consequences are not terrible. You know, the wave will just go back into the ocean and come up again as another wave. It's no big deal. So that's all we're surrendering. We're actually surrendering a power we don't have. We're, you know, that it's just that we're just actually being realistic in the fact that we have no control. And
surrendering
just,
the illusion of control.
yes, yes, that's it. But when you were talking there about the snake and you know, the wood, that's wands, isn't it? I mean, that's tarot wands, the wood element, all of that. Um, a few weeks ago, I started painting a snake, and then but it turned into an Ouroboros. So it's a snake swallowing its tail, but it's on a background that's orange and in fire. And I thought, oh, that reminded me of the fires in California. But it's actually, it's the burning of the old wood. It's the burning of the old wood to allow for the transformation, and the Ouroboros swallowing its tail. I had no idea that that's what I was painting.
Wow. The burning of the
It's only when
Hollywood.
you started talking about it, I thought, oh my God, that's my painting.
Wow.
Perfect.
Brilliant. Just
Such a
like,
witch.
wow, love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It does feel like a perfect opportunity to do some shedding of skin. That's for sure.
Definitely. Do we have more astrological updates? Shall I pull a couple of cards?
All the
Shall we
cards.
Shall we see what's going on? Okay. I was waiting for them to fall out because I've been shuffling them for a while and nothing was happening. And now three have just fallen out as soon as we agreed. They're face down. Let's go in. Look, what did you say about the wood and wands?
Ooh.
Perfect, isn't it? So the six of wands, of course. I mean, it is fire. It's the fire that you were talking about, you know.
Fire
Um,
and action in the physical world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the transformation. And also, let's not forget that, fire it destroys. So, we do have that element of destruction going on. Horses, we know, are positive movement forward. And of course, the main message with the Six of Wands is triumph and success. And yeah, you do have to push through, to experience this triumph and success. And look, the next card is that Ten of Swords. And I'm not surprised because this Ten of Swords has been coming up a lot in the private readings I've been doing. And of course, because the swords are air, they represent mental processes. And we've just said, you write your intention, you think about it. That's coming from the fourth dimensional mental energy body, right? But we're surrendering. We're surrendering to something so much higher. So it is about, I mean, surrender. He's rock bottom, right? It's like just give up these
Give up.
thoughts.
Give
As
in.
as Liz would say, stop with the stories because look where your stories have got you, right? And Minnow Pond often points out that the mudra that he's making is a blessing. And it is because how many times do we look back at what we think was a negative event and in fact it was the key to further knowledge or the key to growth? And it was a blessing in disguise. And it's always going to be a blessing in disguise. But I'm glad this card has come up because I've already mentioned on it that some people are going to feel like that. You've said, Amy, that it might feel like overwhelm. I mean, this is an overwhelm card, right? It does feel, I felt it this week. So there is an overwhelm to be had with this breaking down of everything. And it's about not being afraid of it. I mean, it's one of the lines, funny enough, Amy, that you mentioned when you did the garden retreats reading with mine, and it's the one that's from the intention for the garden retreat. That we encourage you to work with your vulnerability, open your heart, and work with your emotions, or to face your vulnerability, yeah, and to open your heart and work with your emotions. And that's exactly what this is. It's about being vulnerable, and it's okay. It's okay. And that's, I think an important card to have come up because it's
Yeah.
it's this is rock bottom, but as I often say with this card, I don't think rock bottom is actually made of rock. I think it's made of a little trampoline because when you hit rock bottom, you come up again, right? And then everything's, better in some way or another. And it is like starting from scratch. Another energy for this card is starting from scratch. And in a way, we are because we're creating the new earth. And we're not just putting a band-aid over the old systems. The old systems are completely like this. We are starting from scratch. It is people power, like you said. It is Aquarian energy in that way. And so, yeah, I think this is a beautiful card. And we've also got, which I think is also beautiful, of course, the Four of Wands. The message with the Four of Wands is firm foundations. And that's what I'm loving about it because these systems that are coming down, a lot of them were not built on divine truth and divine intentions. They were not built on firm foundations like the Tower card. That's why so many people are having a Tower card moment. And we are building now on firm foundations. We're building on love. We're building on the love that we are, not just the love that we feel. And in tarot, the castle often is in the background in most cards, and it represents your goals in life. And here you can see that they are dancing in front of that castle. It's like this is our goal in life: is to surrender and just be, together with others, and to find the unity within, the community, the unity within the community. And the other thing is wands again, because of the transformation, and because of the fire and everything else. And also, what I love about this card is you've got like the 11, 11, it's like a portal that they're dancing through. It is about the pillars and finding your way. It is about following your destiny, but it's not consciously following your destiny. I think this is an important point, because if you were consciously following your destiny, you'd be thinking too much. This is about allowing your destiny to unfold and just allowing your next step to come to you and just flowing, with it all. Flow with the energy of Pisces. It's beautiful, isn't it? So the main message with this card, it is a wedding card. And I think that's beautiful because a lot of relationships have had a lot of upheaval with all these energies lately. And it's about coming together. It may not be formally getting married, of course, although it can mean that, but it is about coming together to co-create. So it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. It's coming together to co-create.
The marriage of with our higher self. It's our true um our true spouse. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And to co-create the new earth. That's what I think it's about. And just some of the creations that we're having in life in general. I can feel the firm foundation behind it. I can feel the vulnerability behind it. People trying new things. They are that snake that, as you said, it's come out, it can't see very clearly. And people are just trying things, and it's okay. I mean, if it works, if it doesn't, there is no failure. There is only us just exploring, because there is no humiliation, because that would be one of these swords, right? So it's all very, very, it's a beautiful energy. And where people are just, they can't even help themselves but support you. It's just people just wanting to be supportive. And so this is a beautiful card, I think, of co-creation, joy, celebration, and walking that divine path, which comes naturally when you surrender to your own divinity.
Beautiful.
Some reason when you started talking about the foundations, laying the foundations, that made me very emotional. I think that's really important, isn't it? To just kind of like slowly but surely but steadily make sure that they're really sound, and that whatever is about to grow is based on something solid. That feels really, really important,
And I
somehow.
think it's because it's coming from the heart and not from the mind. It is about thinking with the heart, isn't it? And that takes practice. It's not going to happen overnight. It's like what I was saying, how I'm still putting events out, my own events. I mean, it's coming from here because the energy is not here, but it's okay. It's okay. It's nothing matters. One of my favorite expressions at the moment is like nothing matters. I mean, once you've been through this, nothing matters, right? You
Yep.
know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when you know you're a drop in an ocean, and even if you get separated from the ocean, you will go back into the ocean. That's where you're going. There's nothing to fear.
Yeah, and I think that this one coming up first, because very often you'll get triumph and success at the end of a reading, because it's basically telling you follow all of this advice, and there's your triumph and success. What I love about this card coming up first is that the triumph and success is already there. It's this that's stopping you from allowing it and experiencing it. You see what I'm saying? It's already there. It's
Yeah.
our destiny.
It's beautiful.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
The Aquarius energy is very much about also about finding tribe, and really connecting to like-minded people with similar visions. That's very much part of the Aquarius new moon, and Pluto being in Aquarius, finding our tribe.
Yeah. Well, actually, the tribe will find you because it's
Yeah.
resonance, right? So
Exactly.
it does come back to what Liz was saying about, have that relationship with your higher self, do what you love, be creative without asking any questions. You'll find out later why you painted that picture. You'll find out later why you did that thing. But just going with that flow and being who
Oh,
you really are, and your tribe will just come to you because it's a resonance thing.
Cannot,
So
it can't, but yeah.
yeah.
yeah. But having
Yeah.
said that, if you are in the Costa Blanca North area, the garden retreat is the perfect place for meeting like-minded people. Oh, I just slipped into the the mental processes. Oh wow, what a joy, what a joy. Amy, anything else you want to share with us?
No, I don't think so. I guess there is just one more thing that something else that is part of the moon, and that is we do also have Chiron square Aries as part of that new moon and connected in with everything. And Chiron is the wounded healer, and Mars is the planet of action, but also anger and war and uh, I guess assertion would be a good way to put it.
And
And it's
divine
divine
masculine.
masculine. Exactly. And so there can be some healing around the divine masculine going around at that time. And it could be a time where we're called to really look at how we process our anger, even how do we turn it inwards? Do we lash out? And or is it passive aggressive, things like that. So it's interesting that that's playing out, but it's also very courageous, and it can help us to kind of bring some thorny subjects up, or things up into the up to be addressed. And so I do feel that there's a courageous energy, because a square is not necessarily this terrible thing. It's a dynamic energy calling for us to do something about it. And so there could be some quite big healing around the divine masculine around that time, in whatever way that form that takes within us.
That time, remind me which time you're talking about?
It's going to around the same time as the moon, but this
The
is going to
moon,
be
the new
exact.
moon.
29th of January, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be exact on the third, I think, third or fourth of February, the Chiron
Okay.
Mars. I mean, we could be a little bit. Mars is in Cancer, and Cancer is our kind of. It could be childhood wounds coming up, and we could feel a bit more defensive, a bit more easily triggered. But that's the opportunity for healing. If things come up because you're a bit triggered, then what perfect opportunity to have a look at it and see what you can do about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought I'd pop that one in there because it's
Yeah.
love and light. There's definitely some a little bit more gnarly energy in there as well, but I think it's all good opportunity for healing and honesty, honesty and courage, I think. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you, Amy. Liz, anything else you want to say or share?
No, I don't think I have anything else to say except thank you, Amy. It's lovely to get just the confirmation around the energy that we're living, or that I'm living. My painting. Thank you for explaining that one to me.
Aha.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Really, really love that. I always love how you put such a tangible spin. Spin is the wrong word, but a tangible way of accessing astrology. It's really, really great. Thank you.
It's very relatable.
Relate.
I find it very relatable the way that you express the astrology.
Yes.
So I'm
Thank you.
very, very grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful for you, Amy, and of course, as always, for my good friend and mentor, Liz. Thank you both so much for joining me and us and the unity. We'll put it out there just because we like expressing ourselves. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon. So I will stop the recording and say goodbye to everybody.